Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming and attending today. We'll just go over a couple of ground rules before we begin, but I'm Melissa Cerrone, and I'm the Grants and Programs Manager for the Office of Arts and Culture, joined by Diana Rufner, my colleague, also from the Office of Arts and Culture. And we have three panelists here today, and if you just want to say your names and affiliations, just so that people know who you are. Maybe start with Nicole, John, then Faith.
Thank you. Nicole Capello with the Red River Cultural District, located in Austin, Texas, and Roots and Connections Consulting.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm John Adair. I'm with the City of Sacramento Office of Innovation and Economic Development in the Office of Nighttime Economy.
Hello, my name is Faith J. McKinney. I am a curator and the Executive Director of Black Artist Foundry.
Thanks very much. So I'm just going to read a few sort of introductory remarks, and then we'll jump right into the grant reviews. We have 15 grants to review today, so it shouldn't take too long. Hopefully you can stay for the whole period and listen to some of the other reviews, not just your own application. Just want to remind you that all the guests who are here today are in listen mode only. And won't have the opportunity to comment on the grant reviews or ask or answer questions during this review period. So a couple of things to note. I want you all to know that all the applications have been read and reviewed by a panel with expertise either in one or more type of venue or art form and or the creative economy. Although our staff conducted early reviews of application to determine basic eligibility, our staff doesn't score applications or provide comments once the applications are in the final review stage. We're going to be going through these applications very quickly today. For some applications, there may be more discussion than others. Really, that's not a reflection on any application, but it just may mean that there's more agreement among the panelists and there's nothing additional to add. So please note that every application has been thoroughly reviewed and scored by the entire panel before this meeting. Panelists will have the opportunity to adjust their scores at the meeting. And at the end, after we finished going through all the reviews, the final scores will be compiled with recommendations for funding. In addition to the scores, the final recommendations may also consider the distribution of funds in all of the three eligible categories. We're going to be going through them in numerical order today. So if you want to follow along, please have your grant number on hand so you can see where we are in the process and when your grant application is about to come up. If you do hear anything that a panel member says that is in conflict with what is in your application, and that's not based on any other information you may have that that you didn't put in the application, but this is just something that is in your application or is not in your application that you hear a panelist refer to. We would call that a misstatement of fact, and that's your opportunity to write in the Q&A any misstatement of fact that might have come up, and our staff will review it and determine whether it's relevant for the discussion. Remember, the panel is asked only to score on what they read in the application, not what they know about your work, not what they know about your venue. It's really all based on how you answered the questions in the application, and that's all we'll be talking about today. And if you can't attend the whole meeting, remember we're going to be posting these sessions within the next few days on the Sacramento Office of Arts and Culture YouTube channel. Once all the applications are reviewed with public comments, this meeting will end for the public as we compile the scores and the panel makes the final recommendation. We will email you shortly with your score and your rank, probably within the next week or two. If you have been recommended for funding, we'll let you know by email through Submittable within, again, the next week or two. So make sure you're receiving all of our emails. They're not going to your spam folder. It would be coming from the Submittable email address that we've been using through your application. And if you're an applicant that's not recommended, we do anticipate having another round of funding after this one closes. So you are always welcome and eligible to apply in the second round. So that's it in our opening comments. Thanks everybody for joining us. And we're going to start with our first application. And the first submission is submission number 3, and it's Malton Mash, and the category is live music performance or comedy venue. Remember, that's the basic category, so it doesn't mean that every individual applicant does all of those things, but that's the category that you're going to be reviewed in. And Nicole is going to introduce this one.
Thank you. So Malton Mash, I'm going to start. Malton Mash is a locally owned and operated business that was created just prior to opening of the Golden One Arena for the purpose of providing local and visiting guests a great social experience before and after events consisting of live music and alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. They are, in terms of a funding need, requesting. The budget document submitted was not actually clear on the dollar amount they would be requesting. So this may be an opportunity for them to provide more clarity on the dollar amount they would be requesting through this grant. The business provides opportunity for a large age group of ranges, 21 to 70, for their entertainment. They provide an opportunity for local acts offering free shows and does have a standard for negotiation of artists, which demonstrates nurturing investment in the local music economy. And the applicant did detail the various COVID pandemic impacts thoroughly in response to the question on the demonstrated need. I appreciated that this applicant provided a robust description of their venue, providing several details that helped understand the structure and operation.
Okay, John, anything you want to add about this applicant?
Yeah, there's great information there, Nicole. Yeah, one thing that I did want to mention here is that in the community impact, I feel like the applicant showed solid examples of local community partnerships. So I liked seeing that in their application. So that's my comment.
Thank you. And Faith, anything you want to add about this applicant?
Yeah, I think I would like to see some details on any collaborations or future collaborations that foster local talent development, particularly cultural initiatives.
Okay. Any other comments that anybody wants to make overall about the application or anything in any specific category that we've been looking at?
I would just note that I would like to also receive some more detailed information highlighting how the venue highlights Sacramento's reputation as a cultural destination.
Thank you. And I did want to comment on your comment, Nicole, about the budget. And I think there had been a couple of applicants who maybe misunderstood what the budget form was supposed to be used for, and it was really supposed to just outline how you would spend the money and what category. So if we had any applicants, we did not, we allowed them to go through to this round, but we would also need to go back to them and say, all right, if you're funded, where would these funds go and which category? And it would have to add up to the amount. So thanks for noticing that. Okay, then if we are done, then finalize your scores. For those who are in attendance, I just want to reiterate that the panelists have already scored all of the applications, but this is just an opportunity for them to revisit if they've heard anything that may, sway them in one way or another through the other panelists. They have an opportunity to make some adjustments in their scores now. So. Okay, so final scores, are we good? All right, next application.
All right, the next application that I have here, this is John. I'm the lead reader for application number 5, and that is Harlow's, which here is a live music performance and comedy venue. If you don't know, Harlow's is this venue. It's on J Street in Midtown Sacramento between 27th and 28th Streets in Midtown, and it is a part of a restaurant district as well called the Midtown Sutter District. In reviewing the application, the funding need stated was that Harlow's intends to use the funds to pay for insurance and rent costs. My comments in each of the categories, the first one is regarding community impact. The applicant showed clear engagement with the core audience and engagement with the overall Sacramento community. For an artistic impact, the applicant showed a solid balance between supporting local up-and-coming artists as well as national or touring artists. And for the impact and the demonstrated need area, the applicants supported solid evidence for grant funds, including rising insurance costs. The charted amount of the $25,000 in rent and insurance did not completely match with the written description, which said rent, insurance, marketing, and payment to artists. But I just wanted to mention that. So I can turn it over to the secondary reader.
That's Nicole.
Thanks, John. I would just add that I appreciated the level of detail provided to demonstrate the community impact and how multifaceted the venue's community approach is. And also the demonstrated need regarding increase in operating costs and insurance is consistent across market trends right now, post-COVID. And also I wanted to add just a community impact. Their venue application showed robust information about how many shows they host and how many people attend every year.
Thanks. Any other comments?
Yeah, I just want to mention, I thought it was really great that a large portion of the ticket sales go to the artists, but would have loved to have just a bit more clarity on the range of payment methods, just to better understand how the financial dynamics of especially local artist compensation.
Thank you, Faith, for that. I do want to say to all of the applicants that was one of the more difficult things that for us to try to suss out, or the payment policies. And I think it wasn't necessarily every applicant, but it was something that we would probably try in future applications to really dig in a little deeper, because you're right, it was hard in many applications to find that information. Thanks. Okay.
Okay.
Oops.
So it's on me. Number 6.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure everybody had a
yes,
chance to check their score, finalize it, and submit. And if we're good, then we're going to move to the next one, which is Faith, Amatoria.
Yes, okay. Amatoria Fine Art Books is an intersectional cultural hub, drawing together different medium styles, time periods, and people in one room. They specialize in illustrated coffee table style books on the arts, rare and collectible books, ephemera, prints, and original works. I think what I really enjoyed in their proposal here is the details of their intimate in-store events, which is a wide range of programming and cultural experiences, including art history, lectures, poetry readings, book signings, artist Q&As, acoustic music, stand-up comedy, workshops, maker fairs, and film screenings. They've noted that their goal with this funding is to host 3 events per month. And their original payment to artists is a base rate of $100 per hour. And so what I do commend them, it looks like with this funding, they'd like to increase that to $200 per engagement. My feedback is they offer a wide selection of cultural and literary events. I commend the increase of artist pay, like I stated, and I would like to know how many engagements they plan if awarded these funds.
Thank you. John, anything to add?
Yeah, no, thank you for that information, Faith. I think the one thing that I would want to state is I like the clear funding need stated in there, how they're going to use these for future events, for their budgets and for marketing, and how that was very relatable to kind of what their need was coming out of the COVID pandemic. So thank you for that information.
Any other comments? Okay, then we can finalize scores. And if you're good, we will move on to submission number 8, the Torch Club. And Nicole is the lead reader.
Melissa. The Torch Club. So the Torch Club hosts live music 5 days a week, 2 times a day. And in 2023, they hosted approximately 500 shows with a capacity of 97. Forgive me, I'm toggling between a couple different screens here. They are applying in the music and performance venue category and requesting $25,000 in funding. From a community impact statement, the venue is an institution for all ages and diversity of genres, and they partner with a lot of local nonprofits on important social causes. For artist impact, I appreciated that they had strong artist development opportunities through open mic night and providing dedicated opportunities for first-time musicians and bands, specifically during Wednesday evening. And from a demonstrated need, I believe their description was strong. They, noted that they were closed for 16 months, and then post that there was increase in operating costs, specifically insurance, and a drop off in patrons due to the new reality of less people downtown. I appreciated that this venue and its programs are, and the description was really strong. And the other thing I would say is clear that their primary function as a business is live music.
Thank you. Faith, anything you want to add?
Yes, I just wanted to uplift, and I don't think I knew this, that they've been a fixture in downtown since Prohibition ended in 1934, and that they're this is a third generation ownership of over 24 years. So just really wanted to uplift that. I think it was I love that the proposal mentioned guarantee for artist payment. I just would have loved to see a bit more detail, especially with some transparency and how they'll strengthen their commitment to supporting local musicians.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No, just maybe I could just add in, and as you stated, Faith, it's fun to see the Torch Club celebrating their 90th birthday at such an institution here in Sacramento.
Thank you. Okay, finalize your scores for the Torch Club. And we will move on to the gallery by We Are Sacramento, and I think Faith, you're introducing.
Yes, that is me. Okay, so the gallery by We Are Sacramento is an independent art gallery committed to bridging the gap between traditional fine art and the vibrant cultural diversity of Sacramento. They empower underrepresented artists by providing inclusive exhibition opportunities, impactful mentorships, and low-cost exhibition fees. Think that I love their use of space. So they have 900 square foot gallery room, and they also have a podcast studio, which they use to interview artists, a lounge area for visitors to gather, an outdoor area that can be utilized for outdoor activation, and a dedicated private workspace studio that they are currently using for local artists. They've exhibited up to 40, historically they exhibit up to 40 artworks and 15 artists at one time, which I thought was really strong. We think about the range and diversity of artists and how many artists can actually fit into the space. They offer low-cost exhibition fees of $70 to $100 and $1,500 for solo shows for a 4-week duration. So I thought it was a really strong proposal for a community-centered space. I would love to see maybe some of this funding go towards artists that couldn't pay those exhibition fees. And also want to mention, I think it's very commendable of them to offer 100% of the profits on all of their exhibition shows for local artists.
Okay, thank you. Nicole, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just echo that I did really appreciate that. While this business model doesn't directly pay artists, it's certainly a model that supports the artist ecosystem through the place that it provides and that direct financial opportunity for artists via the exhibit space and the marketing reputation and kind of that collaboration of having all artists space in one area. One thing I would have liked to see, this proposal was really strong, is just a bit more detail on how the investments of this grant would stabilize the business or position your business for success for full recovery post-COVID.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments? No, we're good. Okay, thank you. Please finalize your score on the gallery. And we are now moving to submission number 10, Stoney's Rock and Rodeo. And Nicole.
Thank you. So Stoney's Rockin' Rodeo has hosted live music and major touring artists for over the last 17 years. So definitely a staple in the area. They offer different options for different nights. I thought it was great that they were able to detail out in the application the different genre diversities and programming that they have each evening. They applied in the music venue and performance category and are requesting $25,000. From the community impact standpoint, the detail appeared that, you know, they have something for everyone, and it's a wide variety of programming, which I thought was strong. Artist impact, they've established process for paying artists with a minimum and have paid up to a maximum, and they pay by check. From the demonstrated needs side of things, this is where I believe they could have scored higher. It was unclear to me how their goal of expansion to host artists, how that was related to the COVID impacts, and perhaps there's an opportunity on the funder side to get more clarity on that. But I thought overall they're bones of a business, you know, demonstrated great detail in community impact section and supported meeting expectations.
Thank you. Faith, anything to add?
Yes, I want to say I love that they offer free entrance to guests in the area. And I thought that showed a strong and intentional commitment to community. I also appreciate the devotion to use the funds for artist payments. I would have liked to see, maybe I think there's an opportunity to diversify the types of music with some of this funding as a reflection of the community as well.
Okay, any other comments? All right, thank you. We'll finalize our scores on Stoney's. And next up is the Golden Bear. Faith is going to be leading.
Yes. Okay, so the Golden Bear has a mission to provide their friends and customers with the finest food, beverages, customer service, and entertainment possible at a reasonable price and a warm and welcoming environment. They're proud to have created in 2004 a new standard for what a neighborhood bar can be in Sacramento. They're striving to constantly improve, evolve, lead, and exceed the public's expectations. They mentioned that they're proud to offer an incubator to fledgling local artists on their open mic nights and do so free of charge. I thought that was really impressive, and they charge cover for their bi-weekly band nights and use that cover exclusively to pay the band. So as we think about this commitment to making sure that local artists are getting paid, I think that was great. I would have liked to, again, I think that comes up a lot, like you mentioned, Melissa, just that transparency in the payment policy to ensure that there's a standard and they can assist with increasing and a more consistent pay.
Thank you. Nicole, anything to add?
I would echo the comments on how it would be helpful to ensure a consistent payment policy and consistent rate for artists is being made. That would have been helpful to understand. And just that I appreciated the level of examples they gave about how engaged the applicant was with local business and the community. It really showed a diversity of engagements and support.
Thank you. John, anything to add?
Yeah, I think I'll echo both what Faith and Nicole said in terms of kind of the community impact, as well as the artist impact. I think it was great to see the uplifting of a lot of local artists that are programmed there. as well as the work within the community. I think there were some examples of working with some nonprofits and doing some community cleanup. So I really like to see that as well.
Thank you. Okay, please finalize your scores. Okay, and we're moving on to the Rink Studios. And John? is that you?
Yeah, absolutely. The Rink, so it's grant number 12. The Rink is in the category of a live music venue. It is located on Del Paso Boulevard in Sacramento. The Rink, they celebrate live music and performing arts by showcasing local, regional, and national talent. They have a mission to provide a dynamic, inclusive space where creativity thrives, fostering great experiences for artists and audiences alike. They're dedicated to enriching the cultural landscape with great, exceptional service and quality performances. They've been at this location since 2017. The venue is 11,000 square feet as well. The funding need for the Rink, it is intended to be used to pay for rebranding, marketing, and a launch week. So those were the areas that I identified that they were looking for the grant funding of the $25,000 for. 3 specific points that I want to mention about the Rink. From the community impact side of things, the applicant expressed good supporting evidence of providing services for their core constituents or audience, including solid community engagement. From an artistic impact standpoint, while they showed the artists and the schedules, I would have liked to see a little bit more evidence of the payment to artists, and kind of echoing a little bit about what has been said before. And Faith, I think, just mentioned it. It was a little difficult to find out that specific evidence of how it was made to the artists or the mechanisms for that. And then for a demonstrated need, they did provide that specific demonstrated need. I would have liked to see just a little bit more supporting evidence of how that related specifically to the COVID impacts. I think obviously these were, or the grant funds are requested more for rebranding and marketing in the launch week. I would have just liked to see a little bit more about how that related to maybe some negative impacts from the pandemic.
Thank you. Faith?
Yes, excuse me. My notes echo a lot of what you said, John. So we're definitely calibrated there. I would just really like to mention, I think a lot of these submissions we're seeing, just like the Rink Studios, they're in these really great communities. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth and development and artists being incubated and activated in the space. So really want to commend them on their commitment to local artists and national. I think there's a great balance of making sure that they can bring in some quality national acts to support the local as well. And just echoing again, just some transparency around what that pay for local looks like.
Thank you. Anything else?
I would just like to add, the application could have definitely benefited from detailing the funding needs and how it was related to the negative impact of COVID. Why a rebrand, what from COVID prompted that, why some of these requests were made, to strengthen the application.
Thank you. Okay. Finalize your scores. And we are moving right along to application number 13, A Touch of Class, live music and performance and comedy. Faith.
Yes. Okay. Okay, here we go. So A Touch of Class, let's see, is dedicated to enriching their community through the arts. They provide a vibrant local venue where live music, comedy, entertainment come together to create memorable experiences. Their mission is to support and showcase local talent, fostering a creative environment that brings people together and enhances the cultural fabric of our community. They aim to inspire, entertain, and connect through the power of live performance, making the arts accessible to everyone. So I think they have a great selection of diverse entertainment and programming. They provided a transparent pay structure and how those, each of those entertainers are getting paid. So the kitchen equipment and rent were mentioned, but I wasn't sure it adequately explained how it ties into the broader recovery strategy. I thought it would have been stronger, maybe a detail of those kitchen upgrades directly contributing to the revenue generation and the sustainability, long-term sustainability of the venue. Other than that, I think it's another one of those spaces that's really important and uplifting, decades of them being and providing entertainment to the community.
Thank you. Nicole?
Yes, thanks, Faith. I think I just want to also note that the application detailed that it's one of the oldest African American venue in Sacramento, with 40+ years of service. I appreciated the level of detail on all the program that they offered. To strengthen the application, I also, Faith had mentioned that would like to have had some sort of detail on, their funding requests and how this kitchen equipment, why is this needed now? How did this relate to the COVID-19 impacts? It's very clear how it could help their business going forward, but trying to help us understand what happened during that period of time and why they were being requested.
Thank you. John, anything to add?
I don't. Thank you, though.
Okay, great. Thank you then. Finalize your scores, please, and we'll move on to number 16, Cafe Colonial, and John, you're up.
Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate it. Yeah, Cafe Colonial, submission number 16 as a live music venue. It is located in Sacramento on Stockton Boulevard. The specific funding need is that Cafe Colonial intends to use the funds to pay for insurance and rent. A little bit about Cafe Colonial. Their business mission is to provide a space for underground music, art, and performance that is welcoming and accessible to all. They're staff-owned and operated as well. They been at the location since April of 2001. Their venue is a little bit small in their description of about 150 capacity. So they do need a large volume of events there. And they host about 200 to 250 shows and events per year. A couple of things that I wanted to point out specifically in each category regarding community impact. Cafe Colonial showed solid evidence of serving a diverse core group of constituents, especially in the specific area that they're located and the people that they do serve. From an artistic impact, the applicant could have shown a little bit more direct evidence of payments to the artists. Again, it's a theme that we've had through here. It was just a little bit difficult to know exactly the pay structure that it was, if it was consistent for each artist or how that was made. From a demonstrated need, the applicant could have showed just a little bit more in terms of how these funds would be specifically utilized to overcome the negative impacts of the pandemic. However, they did mention specifically a little bit of information about it, that it would be for rent and insurance. I just would have, I think it could have been a little bit stronger if they had specifically stated some specific examples on how much the increase of insurance or the increase of rent. So I'll turn it over to the secondary reader. Thank you.
That's Nicole.
Yes. So sorry, my thing just closed. Okay. Overall, I really appreciated this application, the level of detail. I thought that the contributions that they shared and how this space preserves or shares cultural heritage through work, and also supports artists who create original work was really strong. In most cases, exceeds expectations. It would have been extremely beneficial. John had mentioned that they had mentioned insurance and rent. I would like some clarity in the application. It states that after buying the business, they spent most of their operating budget getting the business up to code. And that's you know, pretty common across venues and entertainment spaces. So I think there's, in my opinion, some room for some clarity here about you know, what is being asked for in terms of how to use the funds, how it, you know, would address the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and also tying in what were some of those obstacles related to getting a business up and running. So other than that, I thought that the application descriptions of the core audience were really strong, and I appreciated that.
Thank you. Faith, anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to celebrate their DIY ethos. I thought that was really beneficial, clearly, and really beneficial to Sacramento art scene, and just really commend them on encouraging the experimental and original work, and a place for artists to kind of cultivate their talent.
Thank you. Thank you. Please finalize your scores. And now we're going to move to number 19, Goldfield. And I'm moving quickly, and I know you all have to take a minute to find your place, so don't feel rushed. Nicole, you're going to lead on that.
Thank you. So Goldfield Trading Post is a bar restaurant that also produces over 200 concerts per year by all artists of all music genres. It is located on J Street in Midtown Sacramento. They produce over 200 concerts a year, and those genres range from reggae, country rock, singer-songwriter, and heavy metal. They are requesting, go back to my notes. The budget was unclear at the dollar amount, so I believe there's some opportunity there for some clarity to understand some more details on what exactly they are requesting, what dollar amount, and you know, right now it's just kind of in that incorrect format. I appreciated the explanation specifically related to how the venue helps to preserve and share cultural heritage. I also you know, how it's themed, the cultural heritage as it relates to the Gold Rush theme, and how their venue has integrated murals and pieces of historical artifacts that really tie back to Sacramento and the surrounding areas. In terms of community impact, you know, their core audience that they reach is 15 years to 50 years. So it's a really great range. From an artist impact, it looks like you know, a good majority of their artists do get paid. I would have liked to see more detail on what is the process in terms of minimum and maximum payments. And the demonstrated need, they allocated that the funding would be used for rent and insurance, which is definitely consistent. And they also mentioned with summer, with its multiple heat waves, it's been really hard to get customers in the door, and even in a different market, that is consistent with what we're hearing across Austin as well. So I thought it was a strong application.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I echo some of what you said there, Nicole. I think I did like to see the demonstrated need, the relatable needs from COVID, and where those were to be supported in terms of the rent and the insurance and the increase on that. I did also like the community impact. It was nice to see information about their core audience. I would have liked to seen just a little bit more, I think, in terms of kind of reviewing all of the applications. I think some felt a little bit stronger because they just provided a little bit more of an explanation and details. I felt like this is one thing where I did appreciate like the artistic impact and the cultural destination, but I wish I could have gotten just a little bit more on how that is relatable to the programming that is there, and relatable to more programming in the future, and how that works. So anyways, those are my comments.
Thanks. Any other comments?
Yes, I just thought similar to what John mentioned, I just thought maybe it could have benefited from expanding on the partnerships with local schools, community groups, and just showing their commitment to community engagement.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, please finalize your scores. And moving on to number 21, which is Laughs Unlimited Comedy Club and Lounge. And John.
Thank you, Melissa. Laughs Unlimited is a performance venue. It is located in Old Sacramento. It was established in 1980 in Old Sacramento, and it's the 10th longest running club in the nation. Currently, they're the only nighttime entertainment in Old Sacramento. It's a popular destination for both tourists and locals looking for entertainment and dining. They have 177 seated theater there. They host an average of 400 shows, and they serve approximately 25,000 ticketed patrons. So that's a little bit about Laughs Unlimited. The funding needs specifically were mentioned that they intend to use the funds to pay for insurance, rent, promotion, and marketing. So those 4 different buckets. The community impact statement that I'll have for them is that the applicants at Laughs Unlimited showed direct evidence based on the demographics that they serve, including the number of shows that are delivered and the number of patrons served. I really like the detail that was provided for their constituency and who they do serve. From an artistic impact, the applicant provided solid evidence of supporting local artists and national artists. I do think providing some of the examples of the local talent and some of the opportunities that they do provide for local comedians and others to perform there at Laughs Unlimited was really nice to see as well. And the demonstrated need, the applicant showed direct needs related to the negative impacts of the pandemic, including specifically mentioning those increased insurance costs. So I will turn it over to the secondary reader.
That's Faith.
Yes, another one of those cultural entertainment landmarks, right? I really appreciate the depth that they went into explaining kind of the history and who they've supported. They demonstrated a really strong commitment by donating 500 tickets to local charities. And I thought the information on the payment specifically to local artists was well presented.
Thank you. Nicole, anything to add? Okay, thank you. Please finalize your scores. And we're moving to submission number 23, Casa de Español, Independent Art Gallery, and Faith is leading.
Yes. Okay, I feel like I'm going to say it about everyone, but again, one of those places in the community that's really needed. It's located on R Street in downtown Sacramento. It's a dynamic cultural center in Sacramento dedicated to celebrating and promoting the richness of the Spanish-speaking world through immersive language education, diverse artistic expression, diverse artistic expressions showcased in their art gallery, engaging cultural events, and dedicated community outreach. They aim to foster a deeper appreciation and understanding of the Spanish-speaking cultures. They gave a great, I think some great history and just some description of their venue and their programs, which again has been around for quite some time in Sacramento. Specifically, I noted they present a clear vision of their cultural promotion and community engagement. I really appreciate their commitment to celebrating Latin American heritage and providing accessible cultural experiences in Sacramento while supporting, with the dedication to supporting local artists, offering free and low-cost events and preserving cultural heritage is highly respectable and commendable.
Thank you, John. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Faith and Melissa. A couple of things to note here. I felt that they showed great depth and breadth of information about the audience and the community engagement that they do serve. I know Faith went into that, but I just wanted to uplift some of that as well and amplify that. They also showed a great supporting evidence for highlighting Sacramento as a cultural destination. And also in terms of their demonstrated need, they mentioned they would use the funds specifically for event permitting, security fees, marketing and communications, and rent insurance. And they clearly showcase that in their budget as well.
Thank you. Nicole, anything to add?
Just overall felt like the level of detail regarding the applicant's community impact was extremely strong. And then echoing some previous comments that the strength of this application really shined in the area of preserving and sharing cultural heritage and supporting artists who create and present original work. I just really appreciated how much they have to offer in that space, as well as thought the narrative regarding, how the funds would be used was really well detailed and kind of painted a picture for me of like how this would really support, financial strain that they've been impacted by.
Okay, thank you. Submit your final scores. And we're moving on to submission number 24, Capital Books. John will lead us off.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Capital Books is a bookstore located in downtown Sacramento. Just a little bit about the bookstore. They use this as not only a gateway to finding a home, not only for selling books, but also for holding community events such as book launches, book signings, and meet and greet events at their bookstore. It's on K Street, close proximity to Crest Theater. That they try to collaborate with them not only to host local authors, but to attract some of the best-selling authors or political figures who have written a book and who might be on tour, landing in maybe the local Bay Area. In terms of funding, the applicant intends to use the funds to attract and pay for larger and more national authors and the costs related to attracting and hosting the events of those authors. The 3 points that I wanted to mention about their application from a community impact perspective, the applicant showed great examples of local community engagement, of working with local organizations to collaborate on hosting events. Artistic impact, the applicant showed solid evidence for both local and national artists who have visited. The one thing that I would have liked to see a little bit more, and I believe in the application they mentioned that they typically didn't pay any of the authors, but it would have been nice to see if there's any evidence of payment to authors, or if there is some sort of a structure that they could have in the future to have different sort of book authors or how they could collaborate on that. From a demonstrated need perspective, the applicant showed relatable needs and how they would use these funds specifically to counter the negative impacts of COVID. In terms of the details that they went into for the funding, I felt it was really nice to see how they intended to use that to help their business plan and counter the negative COVID impacts.
Thank you. Faith?
Yes, I appreciate Capital Books' commitment to supporting both local and national authors, and their adaptability and continuing to serve the community during the pandemic. They show their ability to host events with a wide variety of authors and their dedication to fostering Sacramento's literary culture is really important. Their application touched on serving marginalized communities during the holidays and providing safe spaces. I would love to see a mention of a broader strategy for diversity and inclusion in their programming, and maybe a more intentional focus on supporting diverse authors or underserved literary communities would help strengthen their impact as well.
Thank you. Anything else to add? Okay, then please finalize your score. And we are going to move to the last review we have today, which is Limelight Bar and Cafe. And Nicole will lead us off on this one.
Thank you. This application is for Limelight Bar and Grill, applicant 26. The funding budget appeared to be requesting $50,000, which will be outside the cap for this grant. So I would like to see some clarity on the budget allocation and what dollar amount they're actually seeking. The business has been operating as Limelight at this location since 1959. It's been in the family since 1977, or was purchased from the family in 1977, and took over operations in 2014. One comment I have is it appears their primary function is bar and grill, but there is this music garden that is new as of COVID. And they also note that their music program works better outside, although on nights with live entertainment, they do not generate enough revenue to cover expenses. So I'd like to get some clarity around that to make sure if we were providing funding, that this type of programming, music programming, works in this space. And then overall, in terms of community impact, my comments were that they have grown their entertainment area and do appear to be involved in some larger events like St. Patrick's Day events. I also would note that in terms of artist impact, they do offer some opportunities from local musicians and provide live affordable music, which is key for audience development. They do have a structure for artist payment. I would like to understand a little bit more what the process is for that. Some stronger details on that would have been helpful. And then overall, in terms of demonstrated need, it's definitely noted that COVID had slowed them down in those in their operations. And there's just some contradictory statements in here that I think just need some additional clarity. As it's written now, they note that their music program works better outside, although they do not generate enough revenue to cover expenses. And I just think having some clarity on that would be helpful before we make any decisions on funding.
Thank you, John. Anything to add?
Yeah, thanks, Nicole and Melissa. Yeah, I did feel that the applicant showed evidence for positive community engagement and working with the school across the street and the local PBID in terms of, working with them as Sacramento to highlight it as a cultural destination and participating in events such as Second Saturday and holiday events out there. I thought that was nice to see. They did show specific, precise, relatable needs and how they would use those. But I do hear you as well, Nicole. I do also, or I would like a little bit more information in terms of how that outdoor area could be programmed in the future. The way I was understanding it is that it wasn't, as you said, it wasn't open during COVID, and then the outdoor area was open. So it seems like some of these funds would be utilized to further enhance that outdoor music area. So those are all my comments. So thank you.
Thanks. And Faith, anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
Okay. All right, then. I would ask you to finalize your scores, and that is going to conclude the public phase of our deliberations today. We're going to take a look at the scores, and panel are going to make recommendations after this meeting is over. I just want to thank everybody who came today to listen to this scoring. And also I want to thank everybody for working on these applications. I've spoken to the panelists about this. We are so used to funding through our programs, nonprofit organizations. So when we're asking for-profit creative businesses to come to us and fill out a grant application and go through this process, it's probably a little bit new for everybody. So I just really want to commend you for stepping up and going through the process with us, and just thank you. And that we will, as I said before, we will be in touch shortly to let you know what the outcome of this was. Again, if you're not recommended for funding, or if you know somebody who was in a community that really couldn't be funded because they weren't in the right neighborhood, we are going to reopen the grant again for a second round. Probably will open early in October. And we would welcome anybody who isn't funded to reapply, and also to tell your colleagues about it. So thank you. And for the panel, we're going to take, I'd say, like about a 10-minute break, if that's okay with you, so that we can finalize the scores. So it's 2:34. If we could be back at, what's 10 minutes? 2:45. Is that good with everybody? Okay, see y'all at 2:45, and thanks everybody who is in attendance.